This may come as a shock to some of you, but I think JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is kind of cool. No matter which part is your favorite, JoJo just oozes with style, creativity, and energy, and there has been no other manga or anime quite like it in its more than 30-year run. Between its uniquely stylish characters and its mind-bending stand battles, you wouldn't be mistaken to think that JoJo has the perfect ingredients for a fighting game. And you would be right. You would be right 3 times. Yet, despite the existence of 3 distinctly different JoJo fighting games, I feel like all of them miss at least a few marks that keep them from being the perfect JoJo experience. So today, we're going to briefly go over 3 officially licensed JoJo fighting games: Heritage to the Future, All-Star Battle, and Eyes of Heaven. But what is it about JoJo that makes fighting different? I do not have the ability nor time to give an adequate answer, so I'll try to be brief. Unlike most shonen anime, fights in JoJo are rarely decided by which combatant is more powerful, more skilled, or more determined. Instead, fights are more like puzzles. An opponent appears with a weird power that gives them an unfair advantage over the hero, and the 2 combatants then take turns making plays and counterplays to try to position themselves to make the winning strike. This can range anywhere from Dio having a freezing touch to Cheap Trick killing you if you show your backside to someone. Parts 1 and 2 were mostly straightforward affairs with face-to-face fighting with 1 or 2 weird gimmicks that make the fight unfair. But the latter half of Part 3 began to utilize the series' signature free weirdness pass: stands. Ghostly manifestations of a person's fighting spirit that confer some weird-ass powers. This is where the puzzle fight aspect of JoJo really takes off, with some stand battles being so unfair that an antagonist isn't even present while the heroes struggle to figure out what the enemy stand is even doing to them. Chronologically, the first JoJo fighting game to make its debut was JoJo's Bizarre Adventure: Heritage for the Future by Capcom in 1998. Capcom's JoJo plays a lot like Darkstalkers with a JoJo makeover, and that is by no means a bad thing. Capcom's animation team really put in the work to bring the Stardust Crusaders to life in their signature 2D sprite style, and their attention to detail in capturing the intensity of the original JoJo manga is immaculate, even down to the characters' weird posturing. Heritage also introduced the first ever attempts at stands as a mechanic. While stands do appear during certain special moves, you could press the stand button to bring out your stand and fight in tandem with it, allowing for creative and sometimes downright broken combos and strategies. The game also included a robust story mode that follows all the beats of the Stardust Crusaders saga, including a few unique boss encounters against unplayable characters. They even have Derby mini-games. Heritage probably has the single most complete fighting game package of all the JoJo fighters, and yet I still could not say that it is the perfect JoJo game. While Heritage does have the most solid gameplay systems and more than enough reverence for the source material, it ultimately feels like a Capcom fighting game than it feels like a JoJo game, where much of the drama and mind games of stand battles take a backseat in favor of actually solid gameplay. And I feel really weird about pointing this out as a mark against the game. If I did have to nitpick, I'd maybe say that Heritage has perhaps a bit too many clone characters in a roster that didn't really need to be padded out. There are 2 Polnareffs, 2 Whole Horses, 2 Dios, 3 Kakyoins, and 3 characters wielding Anubis. Oh, also this game has Pet Shop. Pet Shop. Next up is 2013's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle by CyberConnect 2. If you're not familiar with CC2's work, they are largely responsible for the library of anime tie-in arena fighters published by Namco Bandai, including the Naruto Ultimate Ninja series and the recent Demon Slayer Hinokami Chronicles. Appropriately, All-Star Battle serves as a companion tie-in to the then-airing JoJo anime. But All-Star Battle also plays true to its name by featuring faces from the entire expanse of the JoJo saga. This allows All-Star Battle to showcase a wider variety of characters and power sets, not just stands, but also Hamon users and vampires from Phantom Blood and Battle Tendency, and horseback characters from Steel Ball Run. As a surprising departure from CC2's normal brand of free-running arena-style games, All-Star Battle actually plays more like a traditional fighting game, with linear movement and 3D environments that allow sidestepping, a sort of 2D, 3D hybrid. Unfortunately, this means that All-Star Battle isn't as tightly designed as Heritage. The game is locked at 30 FPS, and the 3D movement doesn't really provide that much in terms of gameplay depth, aside from making certain collisions really janky. However, for what All-Star Battle lacks in stability, it makes up for in more experimental mechanics. Characters have wildly unique subsystems like Rohan's Heaven's Door being able to lock players' buttons, or Pucci having to recite all the keywords to awaken Sea Moon. The game even features a button similar to BlazBlue's drive button that enable character-specific powers like Hamon or stands, and most stand characters even function similarly to Heritage. The core gameplay systems of All-Star Battle also serve to add that distinct JoJo flavor of panache and style. There's a pseudo-parry called Stylish Dodge that just lets you vogue your way out of danger, and it's painfully on brand. Taunting is also a huge deal in All-Star Battle. You can taunt your foe normally, but if you taunt while your foe is in a hard knockdown, your taunt then becomes a special cutscene taunt that takes away from the opponent's meter, allowing you to do that JoJo thing where you drop a bomb-ass one-liner and cause your foe to flinch. High-level All-Star Battle has also developed the Taunt Cancel Reset, the sickest tech I have ever seen in a fighting game. It also can't go unsaid that CC2's visual treatment for All-Star Battle is top-notch. For what CC2 lacks in experience with expertly crafted fighting games, they make up for in bombastic visuals and painstaking attention to detail. There isn't a single frame of animation in All-Star Battle that doesn't have a direct one-to-one parallel with a panel from the JoJo manga. Ultimately, I think All-Star Battle's greatest strength is in its reverence to the source material, and you can feel this in every single hidden detail that they bothered to implement. Like how Koichi can use Echo's Act 3's gravity power to stop sheer heart attack, which also paralyzes Kira. Or how Mista just starts losing meter if he only has 4 bullets left. Or how Jotaro can activate his time stop during Dio's Road Roller Super to escape the final hit and recreate the whole finale of Stardust Crusaders. To be fair, Jotaro could also do this in Heritage. Although All-Star Battle has probably the most bare-bones version of a story mode among all JoJo games, it more than makes up for it by having the most personality and expression in its in-game presentation. All-Star Battle is probably not a good fighting game, but it is an excellent JoJo game. Lastly, there's 2016's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Eyes of Heaven, also by CyberConnect 2. Eyes of Heaven basically takes all the characters and assets from All-Star Battles and turns the game into a fully 3D free-running 2v2 arena fighter with a slew of new characters to keep things fresh. The new format repurposes certain characters to behave differently in a fully 3D environment. Characters like Whole Horse and Koichi can use their stand abilities to set traps and play a more tactical game, whereas long-range characters like Mista and Undul can engage in long-range stand warfare and emulate that abstract style of JoJo puzzle battle that has become the series' signature. The new additions to the cast provide some interesting gimmicks that work well for the new fully 3D style, like Weather Report being able to make it rain poison frogs, Mariah's proximity-based magnetism, or oh hey look, it's Pet Shop again. I hope he's not horribly broken this time. The obvious drawback of this is that the gameplay just isn't very good. The freeform movement makes it difficult to actually pin someone down and attack them, and even once you do, there's not a lot of variation in how you deal damage except for your normal combo and a handful of specials. The environments are huge but don't provide a lot of interesting interaction, and with so much empty space, you spend most of the game chasing down your opponents even if they aren't specifically a Zoni character. And f***ing Pet Shop. The 2v2 nature of the game makes it so that unless you have a very good friend who will play with you, you'll be playing mostly with a CPU partner, making it nigh impossible to formulate actual strategies, and most games just end up as aimless chaos. As one additional demerit, Eyes of Heaven also has a bad case of clone characters, featuring 2 Puccis, 2 Diegos, and 2 Jotaros, with data mined assets for a 3rd Jotaro that never got used. It may seem like I'm prematurely writing off Eyes of Heaven as the worst JoJo fighting game, and it definitely is, but I wouldn't be talking about it if it didn't have at least some merit to it. Having borrowed All-Star Battle's entire visual style, Eyes of Heaven is no less of a visual treat, and all of its strong characterization has remained intact. Building on that, the focus on 2v2 gameplay now provides new avenues for characters to interact, either as teammates or adversaries, and it's honestly kind of cool seeing characters from different generations meet who otherwise couldn't, like Josuke meeting a less geriatric Joseph, or Giorno meeting Dio. You might have noticed that some of these dialogue animations have weird looping lip flaps, but that's because Eyes of Heaven needs to account for the staggering amount of dialogue variations that characters can say to one another. It's not an elegant solution, but there it is. The capstone of this effort is the spectacular-looking dual heat attacks, where some of the game's best animation is. Because let's face it, I am just a sucker for badass team attacks. Eyes of Heaven does have one more ace up its sleeve, and that's the story mode. Eyes features a completely original scenario written by Hirohiko Araki himself, where a bunch of multiverse time shenanigans happens to unite the Joestars of every generation to fight against Dio over Heaven. Unfortunately, most of the story involves having to play the regular game, but there are a few unique scenarios that come up, and hey, this game also has Darby minigames. It's not spectacular, but it's basically an officially sanctioned JoJo fanfic, and it's fun in its own dumb way. So what would make for a perfect JoJo fighting game? Honestly, I don't know if it's even possible. The nature of stand battles usually dictates that an enemy stand user initiates the fight with an overwhelming advantage that the victim needs to figure out, and the nature of fighting games has to assume that two fighters are at equal footing when the fight starts. At best, we can only hope for a good fighting game that has JoJo stuff in it. So basically, I want Heritage's gameplay with All-Star Battle's visual style and gimmicks, and maybe Eyes' roster. Yeah? Yeah, that sounds good. That's all for today's A.B.I.torial. Be sure to give this video a like and leave a comment with your thoughts about JoJo fighting games. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more content from Sugar Punch. We have a Patreon where patrons get early access to future videos, so be sure to check it out if you'd like to support the channel. I'm A.B.I., and fuck Pet Shop.